Master Karthik for that warm introduction. So, friends, while going through the materials of this project, I took a stroll through the dusty lanes of my past. I was quickly remembered of that one time when I was made the class monitor. Now, for those of you who know me, I'm pretty sure you would have a clear picture of what kind of a monitor I was. Imagine this staunch, bullish, aggressive figure who would never take no for an answer. Imagine I was the polar opposite. That one week will be etched in my memory for an eternity because in that one week, I had to sit through each and every petty, frivolous, trivial issues that came my way. At the end of my tenure as the class monitor, I thought to myself, looking how miserably I performed, I asked this question: would I ever be a leader? A very good afternoon, Toastmasters and guests. Today, I will take this opportunity to explore different communication styles and introspect a little more on my communication style. But before that, let me give you a brief about the different communication styles that there are. Let's make this interesting. I'll give you a scenario. Let's imagine this teacher. We'll call him Mr. Math. So Mr. Math is teaching the students, well, maths. And he's written a very lengthy equation on the board. Now the students are staring at the board as if they have been asked to decode the Da Vinci Code. It was sheer gibberish. Now, after writing the equation, suddenly Miss A stands up. She has a very assertive look on her face. And she says, Mr. Math, this has not been taught to us. I don't think so it's fair for you to ask this question. Now, Miss A is very confident pro max and very direct in her style. She has what we call a direct style of communication. Angered by her response, Mr. Math turned to another person, Mr. B. Now, Mr. B stood up and said, Sir, this equation belongs to trigonometry. Looking at the variables, I am sure this belongs to chapter 5. And since A already said you have not taught this to us, I am sure it is from the last subsection of chapter 5. Okay. Mr. B is a very detail-oriented person and has an analytical style of communication. But unfortunately so, he was also not able to answer. Out of the blue, even before Mr. Math could turn his gaze to his next prey, Mr. C stood up. And he said, Sir, I know you haven't asked this to me, but I'll still say, the answer is 8. Mr. C is very confident, very sociable, and has an initiating style of communication. Now, my friends, history has taught us that there were 2 atom bombs that were dropped in Japan. But on that fateful day, 3 nuclear bombs detonated on A, B, and C's back because their answers were magnificently wrong. Now Mr. Nath turned his gaze to Mr. D. Tensions ran high. Mr. D had what we call a supporting style of communication. He is that kind of a person who would wear his heart on his sleeves. He is an active listener, an excellent listener, but less assertive and usually shies away from the limelight. Now, don't get me wrong, even Mr. D had no idea what the answer was, but he took his time. From A, he realized that this is something that was not taught. From B, he got to pinpoint where exactly in the textbook he could find the answer. And when Mr. Math was annihilating Mr. C, he quickly peeked a look into his notebook and got the answer. So now, my lovely audience, it's for you to decide who this mysterious, charming, handsome Mr. D is and tell me, what do you think Mr. Dinesh's communication style is? Any guesses? I was so bad at telling the story, but unfortunately, the style that I predominantly have is supporting style of communication. Now, once I realized that I have a supporting style of communication, I was always baffled with this question. With this style of communication, would I ever be a leader? Over time, I got to learn that not only is this style of communication needed to be a leader, but it indeed is indispensable in one's leadership journey. You see, I don't intend to say that, I believe in the fact that we need to have a healthy mix of all these four styles of communication to be the sagacious leader everyone reveres. But I want to say more about the supporting style of communication because of the reputation it holds. You are initiating, you are analytical, you are direct, great, you'll be a great leader. But God forbid you are supporting. What kind of a leader is that? How can a leader be emotional? Well, you know what? I think it's high time we had those kinds of leaders. We have already seen leaders who have made this world an unlivable dumpster by lacking compassion, by being blinded by power, by being blinded by logic. A compassionate leader is one who actually listens, who empathizes with the masses, which I think is something we can all incorporate in our lives. I have seen it firsthand that by being compassionate, by being empathizing, you are not only helping the person you're communicating with, but you're actually making yourself a more holistic human. This speech is not aimed at denigrating the other styles of communication, but just an earnest effort to raise awareness of how each style of communication has its own importance. There is a popular saying in English, all roads lead to Rome. And I have made a Bangalore version of it. All roads lead to Majestic. So doesn't matter if you start from Hebbal, or you start from Koramangala, or you start from Marathili, or you start from Yeshwanthpur, you're going to end up at Majestic. And my friends, if you incorporate these four styles of communication, you will become majestic. Thank you so much. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.